Imagine that you are 8 years old. It is a Friday morning, September 16th, 1994. There is a dry heat under the African sun, and you are in the most important moment of your day, recess. You are running through the playground of your school in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, surrounded by shouting, laughter, and dust. You feel completely safe. You're in a fenced universe where the rules of the adults protect you. But suddenly, the soundtrack of your break changes. The noise of the games fades gradually, because a new sound slices through the air. Some of your classmates cover their ears. They say that it sounds like a high-pitched flute being played too loud. To you, it sounds more dangerous, like a swarm of thousands of electric bees buzzing right above your head. You look up, and then you look toward the bushes, right at the forbidden edge where the manicured playground ends and the wild brush begins. It is something that your child's mind cannot classify. A silver light, an object shining so brightly it hurts to look at it, descending from the sky and landing on solid ground, kicking up dust among the thorns. Imagine that you are not alone. About 60 other children, your classmates aged between 6 and 12, are seeing the same thing. They freeze. And then, from the light, figures emerge. Figures that do not walk like us. Figures that move in slow motion as if time itself is broken around them. They have deep black eyes, huge eyes. When they look at you, they paralyze you. This is not a movie script. Something really happened that day. Dozens of children told separately practically the exact same story. A case so powerful that a seasoned BBC war correspondent admitted that, for the first time in his life, he was afraid, and a Harvard psychiatrist would risk his entire career to investigate what they said. Today, we open the Ariel School file. To understand why this case still haunts researchers and skeptics 3 decades later, we must first understand the setting. Ariel School is not an isolated hut in the jungle where superstitions govern daily life. It is quite the opposite. It was a private, expensive, and prestigious school on the outskirts of Harare, the capital of Zimbabwe. In 1994, this school was a symbol of modernity. The children of diplomats, white farmers, and wealthy black families studied there. A melting pot of cultures, races, and religions under a strict academic British education. It was not a place where you would expect mass panic over goblins or flying saucers. The morning of September 16th began with absolute normality, but fate played a key logistical card. At 10 a.m., a staff meeting was called. All the teachers, all the adults with authority, locked themselves in a room to discuss academic matters. The playground was left without teachers, with the children out at break. Basically, for a few minutes, the adults disappeared from the playing field, and only a tuck shop remained open. Run by a mother on the far side of the grounds, the playground became the exclusive territory of the children, and the location of the incident was very specific. The school bordered an area of dense brush, rough ground, and tall grass. It was a red zone. The children were forbidden to cross that line, not for fear of aliens, but for fear of cobras and poisonous spiders. It was there, on that forbidden ground, where many of them say that reality broke. That buzzing of bees or high-pitched flute was the starting signal. Several children said they saw shiny discs in the sky. They were not flying like a normal plane, but seemed to jump from one point to another, disappearing and reappearing instantly further away. One of those objects, according to the children, descended and landed just a few meters from the edge of the playground. Curiosity outweighed the fear of snakes. A group broke the rules and approached the edge of the forbidden zone to get a better look, and there, in the tall grass, they saw the occupants. This is where the story becomes disturbing due to the level of physical detail. Most described small beings, about a meter tall, wearing tight, shiny black suits that looked like neoprene. They had very pale skin and large heads with thin necks. But not everyone saw exactly the same thing. Many said they were bald. Others insisted that they had long black hair. In a made-up story, children usually agree on the details to make the lie convincing. Here, perceptions varied according to the angle and fear of each child, which paradoxically adds more realism to the account. What does a repeat in almost every testimony is the impossible movement. The children said the beings ran in slow motion, gliding without touching the uneven ground, or that they teleported meters away in the blink of an eye, as if a piece of video was missing from reality. One of the beings stopped and stared directly at the group of students. Silence fell. Facing them, the children could clearly see those eyes we spoke of at the beginning, huge, black and oval, with no white and no pupils, just dark, shiny surfaces. Upon locking eyes with the being, many described a physical sensation of paralysis. They felt that their eyes were glued, that they could not look away, as if an invisible cord was pulling them toward the bushes. Panic exploded. The younger children started screaming, "Tokolosh, Tokolosh!" In local mythology, the Tokolosh is a small, malicious creature that attacks while you sleep. For them, this was not science fiction. It was the monster from their bedtime stories coming to life. Some ran toward the main building. Others stood rooted to the spot, trapped in that visual trance. The encounter lasted about 15 minutes, and then the craft rose up and vanished. I'll take a brief pause. As you can see, we have just started. We are still few. If you want to support this different format and help YouTube recommend us, subscribe now. Be one of the first in the case file voice. The teachers emerging from their meeting found chaos, a playground full of students crying and pointing toward the brush. At first they thought it was a prank or confusion with the gardeners. 3 days later, the case caught the attention of Tim Leach, the BBC correspondent in Zimbabwe, a reporter hardened by war conflicts. Leach went to the school, spoke to the children, recorded his interviews, and left with a phrase that has been repeated for years. "I could handle war zones, but I could not handle this." The certainty with which the children spoke was, according to him, much more disturbing than bullets. Shortly after, Cynthia Hind arrived, Africa's most renowned field researcher. Hind applied a visual method. She asked them to draw what they had seen, separately. The result was overwhelming. Dozens of drawings showed, time and time again, the same combination of elements: the disc, the black suits, and above all, the large eyes. The noise of the case reached the United States, reaching the ears of John Mack, head of psychiatry at Harvard and a Pulitzer Prize winner. Mack traveled to Zimbabwe with a clinical goal: to rule out mass hysteria or childhood fantasy. He interviewed the children, now calmer, in front of the camera, looking for contradictions or signs of invention. His conclusion was forceful and risky. They speak of this just like a person speaks of a car accident, as something that really happened to them. That stance cost him an internal investigation at Harvard, but Mack defended that his medical duty was to listen to the witness's trauma, whatever its origin. It was precisely in those interviews with Mack where the final detail appeared. Many children confessed that, when looking into those black eyes, they did not just feel fear. They felt ideas being put into their heads, images of trees falling, forests being destroyed, and unbreathable air. One of the girls left a phrase for history: "We are getting too technological." Remember, it is 1994 in Zimbabwe. There was no mass internet or smartphones, and yet, primary school children allegedly received an urgent ecological warning about the path of humanity. We could think that, growing up, they would admit it was a prank. But today they are lawyers, doctors, engineers scattered around the world. And most continue to tell the same story with tears in their eyes. Skeptical voices exist, like a former student who now claims he started it all as a joke that got out of hand, which has revived the debate. But no theory, not mass hysteria, not puppets, not a prank, has satisfactorily explained how 60 children maintained such a coherent and traumatic account before psychiatrists and expert journalists. The Ariel School incident is a nightmare for anyone seeking easy answers. It happened in broad daylight, at an elite school, in front of dozens of witnesses. What no one disputes is that on that Friday in 1994, something broke forever in the innocence of those children. The most disturbing part of the Ariel case is not the ships nor the impossible technology. The most disturbing part is the message. 30 years ago, someone or something came down from the sky to warn children that we are focusing only on technology while we destroy our home. Today, as we look at our phones and see the news about the climate, we see that the warning has come true to the millimeter. Perhaps the great mystery is not if we are alone. The mystery is why. Even if they seem to come from outside to warn us that there is smoke, we still refuse to look for the fire. Sometimes the truth does not appear in official reports, but in the crayon drawings of a child. Today's case felt like science fiction, but our next story feels like the best Hollywood heist movie, and it was real. Subscribe so you don't miss it. In the next episode, we enter the Banco Rio de Acassuso to tell you how a group of men outsmarted 300 police officers using toy weapons and poetry, from cosmic terror to human wit. We'll see you there.